What's up guys, Antoine here at DPR. We're still into NBK Reptiles facility and we're gonna give you a long overdue update on the most amazing dinkers we're working here. It's all about the burn, the cantaloupe, and a really interesting one that we've never showed before. If you're ready, let's jump right into that. If you've missed our two previous videos on our cantaloupe gene and the burn gene, I highly suggest you guys to go check it out because we're going to give you today an update on these two projects. I'm going to show how the animals are aging and what they look right now. So if you've missed those two videos, go back in time and go check these out. All right, so the very first gene we're going to overlook is the cantaloupe. That is a single gene female cantaloupe. Really looks like a regular, but has a lot more orange on the belly. It's much more highlighted snake, and it's the force of cantaloupe is basically when you mix it with other genes. That's really where you see the actual effect of the gene. So here's a cantaloupe combination that is a pastel yellow belly cantaloupe. And if you've seen some pastel yellow belly before, you know that they are far from that contrasted. What's amazing here is basically the blacks are super jet black and the yellow and orange are still intact and are still there. It's kind of the best look for a pastel yellow belly that you could have. And the cantaloupe really boosts up and highlights those colors in that combination. Honestly, I am pleased to see that girl as she's aging. Here we have a female Enchi cantaloupe. This snake is also sold. She's going to another USA customer. And Enchi and cantaloupe is basically the very first combo that Brian produced with the cantaloupe project. And so far, what we can really tell with the Enchi and cantaloupe together, it's really those highlighted sides inside of the Allen heads. It really creates a lot of nice cleanliness in the sides. The contrast is still pretty much there. If you've seen some Enchis, honestly, this is one of the best looking Enchi you could possibly find. Cantaloupe really enhances the color and the contrast inside of that animal. So here's that Enchi yellow belly cantaloupe. I am excited with the yellow sides and the effect that yellow belly brings. It's nowhere near what just a regular Enchi yellow belly, would bring you. The cantaloupe enhances everything. It brings a lot of color, brings a lot of contrast. But it doesn't alterate too much what the Enchi and yellow belly would do together. So that's why we really see cantaloupe as a enhancer gene. It highlights the color, brings a lot of contrast, and cleans up the sides of the snake. So we're extremely excited when it comes to the future of cantaloupe in our industry, because some little genes like this could do a lot of work with a lot of busy combinations with a lot of genes, and especially in clown. I really think that if you start adding cantaloupe inside the clown project, we're gonna have something crazy interesting. So this is the very first time we've seen the interaction of Orange Dream and cantaloupe together. This is a OD Enchi cantaloupe, and we've seen OD Enchis before. Cantaloupe really brings that highlighted cleanliness on the sides. If you look at this there, it almost looks like a super OD combo, or even like something with yellow belly. The sides are extremely clean, while the back is also really dirty. It's super exciting because we only have seen this combination here, but I can already tell that the project of OD and cantaloupe together are going to be amazing. So we're going to have a lot of OD and cantaloupe interaction hopefully this year. It's an amazing gene, and I'm really curious to see where we're going to be able to work with it. Hopefully some yellow belly fire and maybe some super Enchi versions. But nonetheless, it's definitely a project that I'm super thrilled. So that's one of the nicest looking snake inside of our cantaloupe project we produced last year. So that is a super Enchi pastel yellow belly cantaloupe. And the real reason why we're absolutely 100% sure this animal has cantaloupe is those highlighted sides. You basically have that dirtiness on the back, and when you go on the sides of the animal, you have that cleanliness that just breaks down halfway on the snake. It has a really clear belly, and then the sides are super clear, and it kind of gets a little bit more dirty on top. So honestly, with looking at this animal, I am super curious to see cantaloupe with Desert Ghost. They're both cleaner jean. They enhances the color and they keep the contrast extremely well. So Cantaloupe and Desert Ghost is a mix of jeans that I'm super excited to see, and we're hopefully going to be making some in the next few years. The second jean we're highlighting today is the Burn jean. It's one of my favorite for sure. This happens to be a regular Burn. She is also 100% Het Clown, and you can really tell it has a much more creamier color. And what we've seen in the past with the Burn mostly is on the standalone, just the regular Burn, is the highlighted white that you have all around the alien heads. It's clear, it's very obvious, and you have it consistently on every Burn, and especially on the neck. If you look at the neck really closely here, you'll have a lot of highlighted white. It's definitely one of the most very vibrant trait of the Burn jean. We found out that the white highlights on the Burn, from the Burn, works extremely well with cinnamon. This is a cinnamon Burn. She's also 100% Het Clown, and you can really tell that the highlights on that snake are just phenomenal. The white highlight that you have on all the alien heads are just crazy, and on the neck also it's the same thing. Every highlighted white parts of the snake are due to the Burn. So the animal at the back here is a regular cinnamon without Burn. It already has a lot of white highlight, but you can clearly tell that the Burn lights up the animal, lights up the coloration, and enhance that white highlight that you have. It's one of the features that we've seen on a lot of Burn, and it's definitely a palette that we're excited to work on. Imagine just adding yellow belly into that cinnamon Burn. I'm really curious to see the interaction of yellow belly with that really white highlighted pattern. We've made some Burn yellow bellies in the past, but nothing yet with dark jeans. Here are two of my favorite Burn combinations from last year. That is a cinnamon Burn yellow belly, and this one is the same thing with honey on top. These two snakes are phenomenal. I love Cypress. It's one of my favorite jean, and the Burn just works perfectly well with it. Cypress yellow belly is an amazing combo, but when you add Burn, you really get those bright colors. The contrast is really awesome. It just works a little bit like lace would do. It highlights everything. Honey already works that way with Cypress. It highlights everything, but the Burn just brings it another notch on top, and like the sides of those snakes are phenomenal. Perfectly what you want to see from a Cypress combo. So the Burn really interacts amazingly well with it. These are gaining a lot of weight and are not losing any color yet, even though also I would say that the contrast is even nicer now. I'm really curious to see what we can work inside of that palette. What really increased our interest in the Burn project is when we finally made our Super Burns. That is a Enshi Super Burn. Nothing compares to this. Just so far from the regular Enshi, yet you still have all the patterns, but you just get that intensity of color that you would just never have without that combination. And the true star of our last year video was the Super Burn yellow belly. This animal is aging phenomenally well. I still can't believe that the super form of the Burn with yellow belly brings you those insane colors, that amount of orange and kind of burnt coloration. I'm stoked, honestly. Looking at this snake here, I'm super stoked to see what the future could actually bring with that combo. We're working really hard to actually make this as a red stripe. Probably going to be throughout DPR that we're going to try to make this with red stripe in the future. But also I'm curious to see, the Cypress version, the Clown version, the Desert Ghost. There's so much yet to be done. And this palette of color, this amount of orange that you can have, look at the neck here. The neck is just phenomenal. There's a lot to do there, and we're super thrilled. We have a lot of Burn pairings that are coming this year. So that is the last project that I wanted to introduce you guys today. This is the Apricot. It's my favorite of all three dinkers that we're working at NBK. It's the very first time we're showing this one off. It is still only in NBK Reptiles collection. Well, actually, this is false because this girl is going to DPR. But I'm gonna run you through what we see inside of the Apricot project. First and foremost, you have a lot of color. This snake is extremely peachy, really yellowish. There's a lot of highlights on the sides. The dorsal is extremely dark, but you have a lot of different patterns as well. They remind me a little bit of a mix between a hurricane and a cypress. You have that jagged up Allen heads. I kind of see a lot of them, or I call them my little toad heads. They kind of look like toad heads on the side of a pond. This is a thing that we see a lot on the apricot. It has a very interesting different pattern, and this is something that influenced a lot of combos that we've made so far. We haven't produced a hell lot of combo with the apricot, but we're going to show you a few combinations that we made last year. Here we have a apricot yellow belly. As I said, you still have that apricot pattern. You really have that jagged up pattern all along the animal. The yellow belly actually increased the darkness of the animal, and it gives you very nice belly with beautiful sides. So it's kind of interesting with the apricot yellow belly because you have kind of both ways. You have the yellow belly, but also it doesn't too much affect the apricot side. It's really intense, and it's really interesting to have that much darkness. We've made others, unfortunately they're in shed right now, but you have way more contrast with some of these apricot yellow belly. It's really keeping the dark, but it's also really keeping a lot of brightness and orange tones inside of that snake. This in hypo or desert ghost would be phenomenal. So this snake is yet our most amazing apricot combination. This is a orange stream yellow belly leopard apricot. You have also, as I said before, a lot of pattern fluctuation on the dorsal. You really still see that apricot pattern, especially there. You're gonna have that keyholes. It looks like a bit like a bottle opener, and you have that going all over the animal, especially here. And it really affects the color of the snake. Obviously there's OD and yellow belly, so it is a extremely dark and contrasted animal. And we're going to use that male hopefully next year to produce some super forms. It's pretty much the basic genes that you want to have in your animal: OD, yellow belly, and leopard. It's going to be a very useful male in the apricot project in order to create some amazing stuff and also to add into some recessives. This is a super apricot yellow belly. This is the only super apricot combo we've made last year. We've made also a super apricot male in a few years ago. I think it was in 2018 or 2017, something like that. And his breeding, he definitely proved out that the apricot is indeed a incomplete dominant. But that is super apricot with yellow belly. You don't really see the yellow belly when you just look at the animal like this. When you turn it upside down, you really have that yellow belly. But the contrast on that snake is phenomenal. With the super form, you lose all the little holes inside of the alien heads, that kind of bottle opening thing. You don't have it anymore. It's really more bands. It reminds me a bit of what an Enshi would do, but there's no Enshi in that pairing. It's super exciting to have a super form that's just super bright, and it doesn't do anything like, let's say, like a super chocolate, the super vanilla, or any bell or black gene like cinnamon or black pastel. You really have a super form that's kind of subtle in its own, but it really highlights a lot of that coloration. So where I see the future of the apricot, I see it a little bit like, let's say, orange dream or a lace, something that you add into your gene that's going to bring a lot of highlights, colors. And here, better than what you see with OD or lace, you have a lot of pattern fluctuation. So in the next few years, what's going to be very interesting is working our apricot project mostly into clowns. Obviously, we're going to have a look of that, but we want to see this into spot nose. We want to see it into red stripe. We want to see it more with OD. We're super excited to be working apricot with a lot of things in the near future. The overall apricot project is the one that I'm most excited here. It's the first time showing it off. We have a very limited amount of apricot animals that could be potentially available. If you're interested in any of these projects, the Cantaloupe, the Burn, or the apricot, as I said before, shoot us a message on Instagram or Morph Market, and we'll send you our available stuff. It's a very limited list. We've already started selling some Burn, some Cantaloupe. They're going to the US very soon. Thank you so much for the people that are believing in the project as much as we are. And if you enjoyed that video, let me know down in the comments which of these 3 projects is your favorite. And on this, we'll see you next week. Cheers and stay tuned.